You survived, you woke up, you came. And next, in the very morning, we have an early bird who's going to tell you about a guide to creativity and depression by Thor.
Thank you, Laura. So, how do you feel? First question. Good? Everyone feels good? That was like, don't look at your phone. I asked you a question. Speak up. How do you feel? All of you. Okay, perfect. Who got drunk yesterday? No arms up. That is something I'm not surprised of because you're here. So, a guide through creativity and depression. In 2018, that's me, by the way. In 2018, I suffered from a very weird phase of depression. Depression is something that is super funny. You don't know it's coming, and you don't know it's hitting you until it's too late. It's like a really bad evening with a lot of different shots. You know, you don't know it's coming, and it's hitting you hard. And the moment when you get depression is usually right before you hit rock bottom. So that's the good news, because you know, okay, I'm going to hit the freaking end of the surface, and the only question that results out of that, how fast do I need to get out of there to get up again? So compared to any other curve that usually goes like that, depression goes like that. It goes down, like it gets stronger and stronger, and it's usually a result of you don't own a vision. That's usually the result of depression, or the cause of depression. Like you do, whatever you do in life, you have your goals, you have your visions, you have everything you want to do, you want to achieve, and you go away and you pursue your dreams and your goals, and you reach them to certain points, and you don't reach some others that get lost along the way. But the more you reach them, the more there's nothing left to do often. And that sometimes results in depression, because you're putting yourself often in a situation where you're like, okay, I'm going to make this and this and this, and you're always on the run, always stressed in your brain to reach that step, to make contact with that person, to do that job, and whatsoever. Then there's chronic depression. Chronic depression is something you just suffer from, and it goes in and goes out. What happens for us as creative people, that every human being is a creative person. It's not that someone has no creativity. It doesn't exist. Everyone is creative. You need to find, it's a process of solution finding for things. And we are all creative people, so we can find creative solution for things. But when we hit depression, our brain doesn't work the way it usually works. So we don't know how to deal with things the way we usually deal with. So what that means is, let's say you're a painter and you have a certain way of having an imagination, a vision for a picture that you want to draw, that you want to paint. In a depression phase, you don't know how to start that picture. You don't know how to draw it. So that is usually, just to explain depression, because I don't know how many of you got through depressive phases, but I guess all of you got through phases where it's down in life, where you are a little bit uncertain, your self-confidence went away, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to handle it, it's emotional, it's a little bit dark, and it can turn to the whole way where there's only darkness in your brain and nothing else. There's no light coming through, there's nothing else than darkness in your brain, and you don't know how to deal with it. 2018, it went that far that I was standing on a chair with a cable around my neck, tied to the ceiling, and I wanted to step forward. And then a friend of mine from this industry, from Israel, called me and said, "Yo, Thor, I need you. You're the only motherfucker who can sing metal and opera at the same time, with a concert in Vilnius." The usual singer got back plates from a bus in his back. We don't know if he can make it. We have 1 week. I had a vision. I had a mission. I stepped down from the chair, went through my computer and said, "Send me the files." And the last thought when I was stepping down was, I can kill myself after that concert, right? It's not too late to do that. So if I don't want anymore, I can still do that, which is fucking dark and grim. at the end, if you think about it. If you think about it now with a clear mind. But there was this tiny light coming through the darkness. That was Arnold who called me. And he didn't know. Nobody knew when I was going to Vilnius. And a few months later, I explained that to Arnold. And he was just like, Thor, that is so crazy. I never thought that. So that's the back past of where I'm coming with this thing from, because that was rock bottom. That was the path completely down. That was the end of the surface. From there, I was like, okay, the only thing after this concert, I was flying back, I was thinking about it, and okay, the only thing I need to do, I need to find ways to get upwards again. What's that ways? Well, in the darkest side of that, before I was standing on the chair, I was laying in my bed for 3 days, pissing and shitting myself because I couldn't even get up. I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed, make a step towards the bathroom. So severe was depression in my brain. Why was it so severe? In my brain, three-dimensional seeing and hearing is combined. I see the music I write. I don't play an instrument to write music. I just know what to write. I see a product, I hear the music, I start writing it. Always have been that way. That was not accessible for me anymore. I didn't know how to do my job. I didn't know how to do what I do. I didn't know how to solve problems, because all the way that I solve problems is that combination of things. I'm talking with people, I'm hearing things, we talk about certain problems, I see the solution in front of my eyes. Okay, let's do that, let's try that. If that solution works. If it doesn't, I see the next solution. Let's try that one. Didn't work that way. So I was then afterwards figuring it out. Okay, I went back to bed, the mission was over, I was like, fuck. I don't know, I still don't have access to my creativity, I don't know what to do. So what did I do? I was like, okay, you get out of bed, if you need to get out of bed, and make as many steps as possible. Just towards the bathroom, towards your computer, whatsoever. You make as many steps as possible to be able to start it. And if that meant just sitting in front of your computer and staring on the dark screen, like computer shut off, if that was enough, and then you couldn't do anything, I returned to bed. Next time I could get up, I was like, maybe you can push the button now. So, oh, I skipped a few slides. So, yeah, well, fuck all that. I like my coffee black, like my metal, just saying. So the thing is, that's a quote by Winston Churchill I just read right before the conference by Dennis Diak. He made Legacy of Kain, these kind of games we were talking for Nordic Game. I just read that. I said, that is very much the essence of how to get out of a depression. You know, it's not, there is no winning or failing in depression. It's about just to continue getting through it. That is the essence of depression. It's the courage to continue that really counts to get out of any depressive state. And I will have like the tricks I will have I will come to them later, how to do that. But depression is not a battle. That's the point. Many people think depressions are something you need to defeat. The darkness never goes away. It's part of you, of all of us. Like Brian from Procedure Worlds company making products like Gaia Pro. Brian is 23 years old. He's just in my flat in Hamburg because he was like, okay, I'm coming over, I'm visiting. Brian was deployed to 17 in Syria in war. He just broke down a few days ago, remembering battle. I had a man like just in pants, shaking completely in my flat because he broke down, and we were talking about darkness, and he was just like, man, that stuff never leaves you. It's part of you. It's part of all of us. We are capable, we are humans, we're capable of crazy things that are dark as shit. So it's part of us. The moment we realize, okay, there's acceptance, we need to accept that this is a side of us, that this can happen to any single one of us. Like the dark side, it's part of life. So it's not a battle, you can't win it, it's part of you. So it's a constant process. It's an evolving process. The only things you need to know to get through depression is, it's like a waveform, right? It goes up and down. It's general life. Depression is the same way. It comes to you, or darkness and light in that sense, and life is the same way. It comes to you, it goes away. So the only thing you need to know is how can I get through this? How can I ride that wave and get out of it as quickly as possible, because that's not the state I pursue. Sometimes it's actually fun diving into the darkness, pursuing that state, because it can also fuel your creativity if you know how to ride it and get out of it again. That's usually what we call getting shit-faced. It's not a joke. How do you feel if you work constantly for 3 weeks and then you're going out with your team because you achieved something, you have some drinks, you're partying crazy. Next time you feel like shit, but you desire that state because it somehow resets your brain, it resets your whole thing. You got rid of that process, you closed that process, so you got rid of all that stress in your brain, all that power and energy you need to put in, right, to do the job you were doing right there. It's a small phase of up and down and light and darkness. Work, crunch time, whatever, everything that is stressful. It's a small part of that. The other thing with depression is we see the world how it really is. All that hype is gone. All the positive or also all the negative thinking about what is surrounding you is gone. You see things how they really are in depressive phase, which is sometimes even more depressing. Because the world is not really a nice place if you think about it. Like, the world has a lot of things that are complicated and a lot of trap holes you need to manage and you need to go through. And usually we are positive in life. Even if someone says, I'm a pessimistic, he's still a positive person. He has dreams, he has goals, he wants to go for something, right? So, the very important thing is, you need to make small steps if you're on your way up, because they keep you started. They start the momentum of getting upwards out of depression. And you need to repeat them as much as you can. Because what is the difference between no movement? It's movement, nothing else. That's the other side of no movement. Depression is usually no movement. Nothing is happening, nothing is going in any direction. You stop everything. Like, subconsciously also you stop everything. Your relationships to people, like, you don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want to deal with something. It's usually just nothingness is happening. So the only way to beat nothingness is to start momentum, to start movement. And the trick with repetition is, like I said, you get out of the bed, you make a few steps. You maybe reach your computer. At some point you're able to push the button. At some point you're logging in, you're starting whatever tool you start to work. And you start. If you're a coder, you start working one line. And you're just like, well, that's enough for today. I go back to bed. You get up, next time you wake up, go to your computer, write another 3 lines. And the more you do repetition, the more your brain will start to get into momentum. The more you get into momentum, you stop thinking about what. Because usually in depression you will think a lot about what. What did I do there? What is the reason for this? What am I doing? What should I do? What do people expect from me? All those kind of things are running through your mind. And you start thinking about why. You think about, why do I want to do this? If you start momentum. Why can't I do this? Why can't I go forward? Why is my creativity not working? And you want that why process, because that why process in your brain is a trigger for your creativity. Because every question we ask ourselves to be creative is like, I have that thing that I need to create. Why do I need to create it? What's the context? It's the first thought we do usually when we create something. And then we think about, okay, what's the relationships towards things? Doesn't matter what it is. It can be audio, can be art, can be code, can be cooking. Everything that is creative. Why do I want to do that step? And that leads to an answer, and it's not even subconscious. Subconscious questions. Why that, why that, why that, why that, why that? And if you start thinking about why, you start activating your creativity. It happens in your brain. And then, to keep a sane mind, if you suffer from depressions, you ask yourself different questions. You ask yourself, if you enter situations that feel dark, how do I feel and react? And then you answer that question for yourself. The more you do that, the more you will stay sane, because you realize, oh, I'm going into a darker phase, going into a more positive phase, and maybe a little bit more to maniac. Like usually a good indicator that you're going towards a depression is if you're super overhyped for things for a certain amount of time and you worked before a lot. That is usually a good indicator, well, you are working towards a dark phase. Because this overhype is something unnatural in that sense. You usually don't overhype things. In a conversation, maybe you are like burning for something, you're overhyping something, but not just towards yourself. You are, for example, painting a picture nearly done, and you're like, oh, this is the best work I've ever done. You know, okay, you're nearly done with that picture, and you know, okay, there's a crash afterwards coming. That's usually how it works in your brain. This is an indicator for yourself to realize, oh, shit, I'm maybe going into depression. So you can start asking yourself these questions when you realize it with that overhype. And then you become aware of your negativity, because you start thinking about, okay, I might go into a depressive phase. Am I asking myself dark things as well with that? So you become aware of your own negativity in that kind of sense. You're like, oh, this is the best I've ever done. So what is the underlying question of that? Everything we did before was shit? So that's negative thought. This is the best I've ever done. It sounds positive, but it's a negative thought because you assume you have not done anything good before in the underlying question. Often in your brain, if you're just asking that yourself, you're not saying that to other people, probably, but you are like fueling that into yourself. And that is something that gives yourself an opinion about what you do. And then you start talking often to other people about it. And be like, okay, you're showing that picture to people, it's not even finished. You're like, what do you think, what do you think, what do you think? You need that feedback from someone else to tell you it's good. Because you doubt yourself and your own creativity. And then why are you doing that? Because you're going into a depressive phase. And can you change something about it? Yes, you can. By being aware of it. How you feel and react to things. And then someone's saying, oh, I don't like it, it's shit. And you're becoming angry. A sane person doesn't get angry if someone is saying, I don't like what you did there. Because the only thing that is saying, I don't like that, is your ego. Or getting angry is your ego, if someone says that. And if you're sane, you have enough self-confidence to be like, well, that's okay that you don't like it. I didn't make it just for you, right? Like, whatever we do, we all deal with negativity in life, right? With people who don't like what we do in video games, negative comments and this kind of stuff. Usually we just brush that off and be like, okay, is there constructive feedback in that? Yes, no. If no, okay, doesn't matter. That comment is not super important to our product, right? Like if someone's saying, GTA 5, shit. The team of GTA 5 is like, yeah, whatever, right? If they say, oh shit, that code element doesn't work or that game mechanic doesn't work, they're like, oh, okay, let's maybe look into that. So you are not super sensitive to it. But if someone's saying, oh, this is shit, and your ego is like, oh, raging, then you know, oh, well, maybe I have a problem there with my own creativity. And I may be going into a dark phase as well. So, the thing is, that happens because we're overthinking. We're overthinking our own creativity instead of just continue doing it. We need that outer feedback to feel our own worth, to feel that what we are doing is worth something, although every creativity is already worth its own creativity, which is more than a lot of other people in this world often do. Like, people who are not really doing anything creative in that sense. I mean, everyone's doing creative things every day, that's part of it, but I mean the art forms in itself, and I count code into that art form as well, because it actually is art, I think. Because, holy shit, I have no idea how to do these things. Not from a logical sense, but how the fuck are they getting the ideas to write code like that sometimes when I'm seeing some mechanics and stuff, and I'm like, that's art. That's freaking art, to think like that. Because it's the same thinking process, and when people ask me, how do you write this music? I'm like, I don't know, I just do it. It's part of it, right? I just write that music. So, that is the one thing. And the rest of it is, you encounter a problem. We all do, every day. Do we give up every day and say, oh, I don't know what to do with this. Fuck it. No. We find creative solutions every single day. Like, you have a problem in your car, you don't know what's wrong here, and then you're like, okay, I pushed that button, okay, now it works again. That's a creative solution. You look for the solution, you find it. Your brain is having a creative process. It searches and analyzes, what do I need to do? And then it gets ideas. It gets a spark of an idea, how to solve that problem. That's a creative process, nothing else. So, that is one thing that I have too many slides left, holy shit. That's one thing where what I always like to tell people, if you don't know how to do something, and you're in a depressive phase, start, have the repetition. Just think about starting and ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Why do I want that? Why do you want to shut on your computer? You want to be able to create. Okay, you started to start your computer. You're like, okay, I got through that. Next day, you're like, why do I want to open my tool? Okay, start to create. Okay, good. Let's keep doing it. Repetition will bring you out of your darkness. These are also some things solutions, the small things to remember. Everything you have always, that you encounter, everything you're interacting with, this can, this microphone, this clicker, that microphone, everything we have, except the nature itself, has been thought of by someone in production. Someone made that out of their brain, out of an idea. Think about that. That's crazy. Everything we have, this building we're standing in, someone thought about it. Someone made it out of brain power. If the entirety of humans that have made it till this point were able to do that, you can definitely get out of everything, because that is possible. Whatever hits you in life, you just don't know how to deal with it. Repetition is key to get out of there, because your brain is the most powerful tool you have to get out of there, because you're in the first place in the depressive thing because of your brain. You're able to get yourself in there, you're able to get yourself out of there. Most people just don't know how to start with that. And that is the answer. You need just to start. You don't need to accomplish anything, you just need to start. And momentum is the thing. Because depression is no momentum. That's literally the baseline of it. So, the only thing that is stopping you in that is usually yourself. No one else. There's nothing from the outside really stopping you. The second thing in depression, we're afraid. We're afraid often of failure. That's the problem. But you can only fail if you do things. And you'd rather do nothing in depression than failing. But failing is not the important thing. It doesn't matter if you fail. The only thing is to continue, repetition. And you won't fail, because the moment you repeat something and you start, you can't fail, because you're getting out of the depression. So, yeah, exactly. I did that. Yeah, I did that. Try that. Yeah. Break bigger things into smaller tasks. Do things you feel comfortable with, like getting out of bed, walking a few steps. Don't get up and be like, okay, I need to, I don't know, whatever, like draw the next fucking World Trade Center in construction when you have a depression. Like small steps, repetition, and that's basically it. You will get through the rest over time, through the repetition. And that's about it. Thanks a lot. We have one question to solve still. There are 2 beers left.
We have time for one small question from the audience. Question.
I thought I could weasel my way around it. Okay. Are you sure? Yes. I don't know what to say. That's the problem. It doesn't matter. Just show your Doch an den Fensterscheiben, wer malte die Blätter da? Doch an den Fensterscheiben, wer malte die Blätter da? I have forgot the rest of the lyrics. That doesn't matter because I remember melody. By the way, that was just the one voice. The other voice is darker, but I promised not to do it. You're welcome.
Okay, so any questions?
I have my depression and I tried meditation. And it was a little bit. Have you tried that? Do you have any opinion? Is it good for you? Is it extreme? It's very personal.
Meditation is in general good.
Oh, fine.
Oh. Meditation in general is good for everything you do when you're dealing with whatever in life, because meditation is a process of sorting your own thoughts. So it's always good. It helps in any state, because just if you're sitting down and thinking about something and trying to get like a red line through your own thinking, it's already meditation in that sense. So meditation is like getting the outside world shut off and sorting your inner mind and your inner peace. So meditation is in any sense of life good. Like it works, definitely. And we're doing that even if everyone is doing that as well. Even if you don't call it meditation, you have that times, anyone have that times from time to time. And yes, it works, I agree. Especially in dark phases, it works to think about, what I said before, the why questions also, to get that, okay, how do I get here? Why do I want to do this? You know, how can I continue? Like, the only thing that is really different if you start to meditate and you start to really like just not get out of the negative loop in your brain, right? Like the negativity loop. If you can't break through that and get the clear layers of thinking in meditation, so the more you go into the meditation rituals in that kind of sense, like physically, but also from the interaction, shutting everything off, you know, like relaxing, breathing, all this kind of stuff, that relaxes and calms your thoughts and your brain as well. So that meditation is definitely a good point to get out of the racing in your minds in a depression.
Is that the Arnold that I know?
Yes, it's that Arnold, yes.
Okay, so that will be it for the questions. And Thor, thank you for the both of the performances.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, I have another important thing I need to get away. I have a bottle of Riga Black here. No, I
But
will put it in
we're
my
out of
luggage.
time, so you can drink the Riga Black and give the beer if you want. Or
Okay, yeah, deal.
switch up. Anyway.
Thank you a lot for being here.